I understand how some people could have some trouble with mixing, but mastering? Come on. So easy, even my dead hamster could do it. I mean, he would have to watch this video first. And not be dead, I guess. And not be a hamster, too. Alright, maybe that was a little bit of an exaggeration, but still. Mastering is really simple. And I'm going to show you how to do it in 3 simple steps. But first, just in case you don't know what mastering is, let me explain it to you. So, the process of making a song consists of 4 stages. Composition, arrangement, mixing, and mastering. So, mastering is the last part of the process. It happens after mixing, and it's about affecting the whole entire song, so putting things on the master channel. You can guess where the name came from. And we need mastering because while your finished mix might sound good in the DAW, it's likely just not gonna hit the same once you put it up on streaming platforms. And that is mostly because it's just not gonna be loud enough compared to all the other songs. Which is the first thing we're going to be addressing in the master. Step 1. Loudness. And before you do anything else, I want you to put a limiter on the master channel, any limiter works, and adjust the ceiling so that it's just a tiny little bit less than 0 decibels. And if you don't do this, you risk your track going above 0 decibels, which results in clipping. And clipping makes your track sound like it has diarrhea, all distorted and noisy. So, how do you make your track louder? Do you just crank the volume knob all the way up? Well, yes, but there's just one more thing we need to do first. You need to know exactly how loud your track needs to be, because you don't want to overdo it either. And for that, you need to find a reference track. So try to find a track that's somewhat similar to the track you're making, at least in terms of genre. And once you have it, you're going to need to measure how loud it is. And for that, we're going to use a loudness meter. I'm going to use MvMeter, which is free to download, by the way. Okay, so I pulled up a reference track so that I could measure its loudness. I'm going to add the MvMeter to it. I'm going to listen to the loudest part of it. That's important. And I need to notice this little number that appears on the loudness meter, and I need to remember that number. So in our case, it's around 14 to 15. Now let's go over to the track we're actually mastering and measure its loudness as well. And only now we can start using that volume knob. So right now it's hitting at around 8. And we need to get that number to around 14. So let's get those numbers up. And there we go. Now your loudest part of the track is loud enough, but there's still the quieter ones. And this is where compression comes in, which is step 2. And what does compression actually do? You might ask. We like making weird metaphors on this channel, so I'm gonna make one. Buckle up. Imagine that your track is a person with bipolar disorder. One day they feel like a god, they're very loud, and other times they feel very sad and timid, and they're quiet. Compression is like a therapist for them. They calm them down during intense episodes and cheer them up when they're feeling down. So compression smooths out those extreme lows, brings them up, as well as bringing down the extreme highs. This way you get a more consistent listening experience. I hope you liked that comparison. Like the video if you did. So let's add a compressor to the master channel, and here just make sure it comes before your limiter, or else you risk going above 0 dB. Remember, we don't want our track to have diarrhea. And let's go to the loudest part of the track again. Now let's start to turn the threshold down until it starts decreasing the loudness by about 5 to 10 decibels. So when this little indicator is at 10, it means that it's decreasing the loudness by about 10 decibels at the loudest point. Let's add those 10 decibels back. Now if we go to a quieter part of the track, we'll see that it's decreasing the loudness by only 5 decibels, but it's still adding back 10. And now for step 3, we're going to add some minor tweaks and finishing touches. Here we can use an EQ to emphasize some of the lacking frequencies and turn down some of the ones that are overwhelming. Maybe add some saturation if you feel like it. And here just keep the changes subtle. Less is really more in this case. Now that last part is completely optional, and you shouldn't have to do it if your mix is already sounding good enough. But actually, all of the mastering we just did right now is completely useless unless you have a good mix down. It's like trying to polish a turd. And if you need help getting a good mix down, you can watch this video later. I will see you there.